Some people wake up feeling like they've already fought a war before breakfast. You haven't scrolled social media. You haven't answered a single text. You haven't even left your bed. But somehow, the weight of the entire world is crushing your chest. Sound familiar? If you're nodding right now, you're probably an empath living in a world that's designed to drain you dry. You're like a human sponge, soaking up everyone else's emotions, trauma, and chaos while your own soul slowly disappears. The worst part: society has convinced you this is your job. But what if I told you that Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful emperor in history, discovered a secret that could completely transform your life? What if the very thing you've been told makes you too sensitive is actually your greatest superpower, but only if you know how to wield it correctly? In the next few minutes, I'm going to shatter everything you've been programmed to believe about being an empath. We're going deep into why you feel lost, why traditional advice doesn't work for people like us, and most importantly, how to reclaim your energy and unleash your true potential. This isn't just another self-help video. This is your wake-up call. The empath's trap: why being good is destroying you. Here's something nobody wants to admit: being a good person in today's world can literally destroy your soul. I know that sounds harsh, but stay with me because this might be the most important truth you'll ever hear. From the moment you realized you could feel other people's emotions, society handed you a script. You're so sensitive. You're such a good listener. You always know what to say. And somewhere along the way, you internalized a dangerous message. Your value comes from how much pain you can absorb from others. Marcus Aurelius understood something that most people never figure out. In his private journals, what we now call meditations, he wrote about the burden of carrying others' expectations. Even as the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, he struggled with this exact same trap. He realized that when you live your life trying to be what others need you to be, you lose yourself completely. Think about your typical day. How many times do you check your energy levels versus how many times you check your phone to see who needs something from you? How often do you ask yourself, what do I need right now, versus who can I help today? If you're like most empaths, the ratio is terrifying. The truth is, you've been programmed to believe that your worth is directly tied to your ability to fix, heal, and save everyone around you. Your mother calls in crisis mode, and you drop everything. Your friend texts about their relationship drama at midnight, and you respond immediately. Your coworker dumps their stress on you every single day, and you just smile and absorb it all. But here's what nobody tells you. Every time you say yes to someone else's emotional chaos, you're saying no to your own dreams, your own peace, your own life. Marcus Aurelius faced this on an imperial scale. Imagine having the weight of an entire empire's problems on your shoulders. Yet he discovered that the key to effective leadership wasn't carrying everyone's burdens, it was maintaining clear boundaries and inner strength. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The modern world has weaponized your empathy against you. Think about it: social media feeds designed to trigger your emotional responses, news cycles that keep you in constant anxiety, relationships where people have learned they can dump their problems on you without reciprocation. You're not just dealing with one person's emotions, you're dealing with collective trauma, societal dysfunction, and generational patterns that have nothing to do with you. The most dangerous part isn't even the energy drain, it's what happens to your authentic self when you spend years being everyone else's emotional support system. You start to forget who you actually are underneath all those roles. You become so identified with being the helper, the healer, the good one, that you lose touch with your own desires, dreams, and boundaries. Marcus Aurelius called this phenomenon losing yourself in the opinions and expectations of others. He observed that people would literally sacrifice their own happiness to maintain others' approval. Sound familiar? Here's the brutal truth. Most of the people who drain your energy would never offer you the same level of support you give them. They've unconsciously learned that you're the designated emotional dumping ground, and they'll keep using you as long as you allow it. But the most insidious part of this trap is the guilt, the crushing, suffocating guilt that rises up every time you even consider setting a boundary. But they need me. I'm being selfish. What if something happens and I wasn't there? This guilt isn't your intuition speaking, it's your programming. Marcus Aurelius understood that guilt is often just internalized manipulation. Someone, somewhere along the line, taught you that your value comes from self-sacrifice. Maybe it was a parent who said good children don't say no to family. Maybe it was a religious teaching that equated service with sainthood. Maybe it was a toxic relationship where love was conditional on your availability. Whatever the source, you need to understand this. Carrying other people's emotional baggage is not noble. It's not spiritual. It's not loving. It's codependency, disguised as compassion. And it's killing your soul one interaction at a time. The emperor who commanded legions discovered that true strength comes from knowing when to engage and when to detach. Tomorrow, we'll explore how that detachment can save your life. The shadow, truth, what nobody tells you about energy vampires. Let me share something that will probably make you uncomfortable. Not everyone in your life wants you to heal and grow. In fact, some people have a vested interest in keeping you drained, confused, and emotionally available for their needs. Marcus Aurelius spent his life surrounded by people who needed things from him. Senators wanting favors, generals demanding resources, citizens expecting solutions to their problems. He quickly learned to distinguish between people who genuinely respected his wisdom and those who simply wanted to use his power. The same dynamics exist in your life, just on a smaller scale. Energy vampires don't always look like the dramatic, obviously toxic people we see in movies. Sometimes they're your sweet grandmother who guilt-trips you for not visiting enough. Sometimes they're your best friend who only calls when their life is falling apart. Sometimes they're your romantic partner who says they love your sensitivity, but then uses it against you in arguments. The scariest energy vampires are the ones who have learned to speak your language. They know you're an empath, so they lead with phrases like, "You're the only one who understands me," or "I don't know what I'd do without you," or "You're so much more evolved than everyone else." They've figured out that your empathic nature makes you susceptible to feeling special and needed. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about the people who would flatter him to get what they wanted. He called them parasites of the soul, people who feed off others' energy and attention while contributing nothing meaningful in return. He learned that true relationships are based on mutual respect and growth, not one-sided emotional labor. Here's what most empaths never realize. These energy vampires often target you specifically because of your gifts, your ability to feel deeply, to understand without judgment, to offer comfort and insight. These are rare and valuable qualities. But instead of appreciating and reciprocating, vampiric people exploit these gifts. They learn your patterns. They know that if they share their trauma story, you'll immediately shift into helper mode. They know that if they cry, you'll drop your boundaries. They know that if they play victim, you'll sacrifice your own needs to rescue them. And they use this knowledge deliberately, often without even realizing it. The most dangerous part is how they make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. "I thought you cared about me. You're being so cold lately. I guess you're too good for your old friends now." These aren't expressions of hurt feelings. They're manipulation tactics designed to pull you back into the dysfunctional dynamic. Marcus Aurelius observed that truly healthy people don't resist your growth and boundaries. They celebrate them. They understand that your well-being contributes to your ability to show up authentically in relationships. People who get angry when you set limits are revealing that they valued your dysfunction more than your happiness. But here's where it gets really deep. Many energy vampires were created by other energy vampires. That friend who constantly dumps their problems on you. They probably learned that behavior from a parent who treated them as an emotional support system. Your guilt-tripping family member. They likely inherited those manipulation tactics from their own dysfunctional upbringing. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you understand why they resist your healing so strongly. When you start setting boundaries and prioritizing your own well-being, you're breaking generational patterns. You're refusing to participate in the dysfunction that they've known their entire lives. Of course they're going to push back. Your growth threatens their entire worldview. Marcus Aurelius understood that some people are committed to their suffering. They've built their entire identity around being victims, being overwhelmed, being dramatic. When you refuse to enable that identity by constantly rescuing them, they often get desperate and escalate their behavior. This is when the real manipulation starts. Suddenly, you're selfish for having needs. You're abandoning them for setting boundaries. You're changing for refusing to participate in their chaos. They'll recruit other people to guilt-trip you. They'll bring up past favors you've done as evidence that you owe them unlimited access to your energy. The truth Marcus Aurelius discovered is that you can't save people from themselves. You can't love someone into health. You can't sacrifice enough of yourself to fix another person's brokenness. All you can do is protect your own energy and model what healthy boundaries look like. Tomorrow, we'll explore the practical strategies for identifying and detaching from these energy-draining dynamics. The art of sacred detachment, your liberation strategy. Here's a truth that will revolutionize your life. Detachment isn't cold, cruel, or unloving. It's the highest form of love you can offer, both to yourself and to others. Marcus Aurelius mastered this art, not despite his compassion, but because of it. When Marcus Aurelius became emperor, he could have tried to micromanage every problem in the Roman Empire. He could have stayed up all night worrying about every citizen's struggles. Instead, he learned what he called the discipline of assent, the practice of choosing what deserves your emotional investment. And what DOESN, detachment, doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what isn't yours to carry. There's a massive difference between compassion and absorption. Compassion allows you to witness someone's pain without taking it into your own body. Absorption makes you sick with other people's diseases. Most empaths have never learned the difference because they were taught that love means suffering together. But think about it. When you absorb someone's anxiety, depression, or anger, do you actually help them? Or do you just create two people who are now struggling instead of one? Marcus Aurelius discovered that his greatest service to others came not from joining them in their chaos, but from remaining grounded in his own peace. When you maintain your center, you become a lighthouse, steady, consistent, and genuinely helpful. When you get pulled into everyone else's storms, you become another person drowning in the ocean. The emperor developed what he called morning reflections, a daily practice of reminding himself what was his responsibility and what wasn't. Before engaging with the world, he would mentally prepare himself to encounter difficult people, unreasonable demands, and challenging situations. But instead of dreading these encounters, he approached them with a kind of spiritual detachment. This practice is crucial for modern Before you check your phone, before you engage with family, before you go to work, you need to create what I call an energetic intention. Ask yourself, what energy do I want to maintain today? What am I willing to absorb, and what will I let pass through me? Sacred detachment means recognizing that everyone is on their own journey, working through their own lessons, and dealing with their own karma. Your job isn't to speed up their process or cushion every fall. Your job is to stay true to your own path while offering genuine love and support in ways that don't destroy you. This is where most empaths get confused. They think detachment means becoming heartless or uncaring, but Marcus Aurelius was known for his kindness and generosity. The difference was that his giving came from a place of abundance and choice, not from guilt, obligation, or emotional reactivity. Practical sacred detachment looks like this. You can listen to someone's problems without immediately trying to solve them. You can feel compassion for someone's pain without taking responsibility for their healing. You can love someone deeply while acknowledging that they might not be healthy for you to be around right now. The emperor wrote, "You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it entirely." This perfectly captures the empath's dilemma. You're naturally called to help and heal, but you don't have to sacrifice yourself in the process. One of the most powerful detachment practices Marcus Aurelius used was what he called the view from above. When faced with interpersonal drama or emotional chaos, he would imagine himself looking down from a great height, seeing the situation as part of a larger cosmic pattern. This perspective helped him respond from wisdom rather than react from emotion. For empaths, this means recognizing that most of the urgency you feel around other people's problems is artificially created. That friend who needs you to respond to their crisis text at midnight, the situation will still exist in the morning. That family member who gets upset when you don't immediately fix their mood, their emotional regulation is their job, not yours. Sacred detachment also means letting people experience the natural consequences of their choices. When you constantly rescue others from their poor decisions, you rob them of the opportunity to learn and grow. You become an enabler disguised as a helper. Marcus Aurelius understood that true love sometimes looks like stepping back and allowing people to figure things out for themselves. This doesn't mean you become callous or unavailable. It means you stop treating other adults like children who can't handle their own lives. Tomorrow, we'll dive into the practical techniques for maintaining this detachment in your daily relationships. Energy hygiene, cleansing your energetic field daily. If you brush your teeth every day but never cleanse your energy field, you're only taking care of half your hygiene. Marcus Aurelius understood that mental and spiritual cleanliness was just as important as physical cleanliness, maybe more so. The emperor had a daily practice he called evening review, where he would examine his day, identify what energy he had picked up that wasn't his, and consciously release it before sleep. He knew that carrying the day's emotional residue would contaminate his dreams and affect his ability to make clear decisions the next day. Modern empaths are walking through life like emotional sponges that never get wrung out. You absorb stress from your commute, anxiety from social media, frustration from coworkers, family drama, friends, relationship problems, and global trauma from the news. By the end of the day, you're carrying dozens of energetic imprints that have nothing to do with your actual life. This is why you feel exhausted even when you haven't done anything physically demanding. This is why you wake up tired even after 8 hours of sleep. This is why you feel overwhelmed even when your schedule isn't that busy. You're not just living your one life, you're energetically living fragments of dozens of other people's lives. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being." But he also understood that being fully human meant protecting your inner sanctuary from contamination. Energy hygiene starts with awareness. Throughout your day, start asking yourself, is this feeling mine? When you suddenly feel anxious after talking to your coworker, when you feel depressed after scrolling social media, when you feel angry after a phone call with family, pause and investigate. Often you'll discover that these emotions appeared after exposure to someone else's energy field. The emperor's cleansing practice involved what we would now call mindful separation. Before important meetings or challenging interactions, he would mentally create a protective boundary around his essential self. He visualized himself as untouchable at his core, able to engage and respond without being contaminated. For modern empaths, this looks like creating energetic boundaries before you engage with draining people or situations, before you call that dramatic friend, before you visit critical family members, before you enter toxic work environments. You consciously decide, I am willing to be present and loving, but I will not absorb what isn't mine. Physical space clearing is equally important. Marcus Aurelius insisted on simplicity in his personal environment because he understood that clutter, both physical and energetic, clouds mental clarity. Look around your living space. How many items are you holding on to from relationships that ended badly? How many gifts from people who hurt you are still taking up psychic space in your home? Every object holds the energy of its history. That sweater your ex-boyfriend gave you, those books from the friend who betrayed you, those family photos from gatherings that felt toxic, they're all broadcasting low-frequency energy into your personal space. Clearing them isn't about being vindictive. It's about creating a clean, energetic environment for your growth. Digital hygiene is crucial in our modern world. The emperor couldn't have imagined smartphones, but he would have immediately recognized them as potential tools of mental distraction and emotional manipulation. Your phone isn't neutral, it's a portal that allows other people's energy directly into your consciousness. Audit your digital consumption. Whose posts make you feel worse about yourself? Which group chats drain your energy? What news sources keep you in fear and anxiety? Marcus Aurelius was selective about whose counsel he received, and you need to be equally selective about whose content you consume. The emperor's evening practice involved consciously releasing the day's accumulated energy. He would review each interaction, acknowledge any emotional residue he had picked up, and consciously choose to let it go. This isn't about suppressing or denying your experiences. It's about distinguishing between what belongs to you and what you've temporarily carried for others. A simple nightly practice. Before sleep, imagine roots growing from your feet deep into the earth. Send any energy that isn't yours down through these roots to be composted by the earth. Then imagine golden light filling the space where that foreign energy used to be. This light represents your authentic essence, uncontaminated by other people's emotional debris. Tomorrow, we'll explore the ultimate goal, becoming so energetically sovereign that you naturally attract healthy relationships while repelling energy vampires. The sovereign self, becoming the lighthouse. The ultimate goal isn't to shut yourself off from the world or become emotionally unavailable. It's to become what Marcus Aurelius called the sovereign self, someone so grounded in their own truth and energy that they naturally attract aligned connections while repelling dysfunction. Marcus Aurelius ruled the known world, Yet he understood that true power came from self-mastery, not control over others. He wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does, but simply to what he does himself." This is the essence of energetic sovereignty, focusing your attention on your own frequency rather than constantly monitoring and absorbing everyone else's. When you become energetically sovereign, something magical happens. You stop attracting energy vampires, not because you're putting up walls, but because your energy field becomes incompatible with manipulation and drama. Think of it like this: mosquitoes are attracted to certain blood types and repelled by others. When you change your energetic signature, parasitic people naturally lose interest in you. The emperor discovered that the people who remained in his life after he established clear boundaries were the ones truly worth having relationships with. They didn't need him to be small, depleted, or constantly available. They appreciated his strength, respected his boundaries, and contributed equally to the relationship dynamic. This is what most empaths are afraid of, that if they stop being endlessly giving and available, they'll end up alone. But the opposite is true. When you stop attracting relationships based on your dysfunction, you create space for connections based on your authentic self. Energetic sovereignty means you become like a lighthouse. A lighthouse doesn't chase ships in distress. It doesn't abandon its post to go rescue every struggling vessel. It simply stands firm, shines its light consistently, and trusts that those who need guidance will find their way. Some ships make it safely to shore, others don't. But the lighthouse knows its job isn't to save every ship, it's to be a beacon of stability in the storm. Marcus Aurelius embodied this principle in his leadership. He didn't try to control every outcome or save every struggling citizen. Instead, he focused on being the best version of himself, making wise decisions from a place of inner clarity, and trusting that his consistency would inspire others to rise to their highest potential. When you become energetically sovereign, your relationships transform completely. Instead of people coming to you to dump their problems, they come to you for wisdom and inspiration. Instead of feeling drained after social interactions, you feel energized by genuine connection. Instead of attracting people who need to be fixed, you attract people who are committed to their own growth. The sovereign empath understands that their greatest gift to the world isn't their ability to absorb pain, but their capacity to maintain peace in chaos. When everyone around you is reactive, dramatic, and emotionally dysregulated, your groundedness becomes a healing force. But you can only offer this gift when you're not drowning in everyone else's storms. This journey requires what Marcus Aurelius called philosophical courage, the willingness to disappoint people in order to stay true to yourself. You'll lose some relationships in this process. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will resist your growth. Family members who are used to using you as their emotional dumping ground will guilt-trip you for changing. But here's what the emperor knew: the people who get angry when you establish healthy boundaries are exactly the people you need. Boundaries against their resistance is proof that your new standards are working. The sovereign self doesn't mean you become selfish or uncaring. It means you care from a place of strength rather than weakness. You help from a place of choice rather than obligation. You love from a place of fullness rather than depletion. Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations as a private practice of returning to his center again and again. He understood that sovereignty isn't a destination you reach once. It's a daily practice of choosing your authentic self over the roles others want you to play. Your mission as an empath isn't to save everyone. Your mission is to stay clear, stay centered, and become the lighthouse. When you master this, you'll discover something beautiful. The right people will find you naturally, and the wrong people will lose interest. You'll create a life that feels clean, intentional, and aligned with your deepest truth. The lighthouse doesn't chase ships, it shines, and in that shining, it serves the highest good while honoring its own sacred nature.